14.
It's right here to be not for fun. What you reppin'? Where you at or where you from?
Giannis just pulling with everybody.
As badly as you play, this game is winnable. Milwaukee better start paying attention now.
Ain't nobody that could hold me down. This right here to be.
The Celtics lead. They were down 14 early in this quarter. Giannis gets the layup, giving Milwaukee a 1-point lead. Smart puts it up. No! Tip won't go. Another try. Horford, no! He tips it in, but it's afterwards. The game is over.
I'm starting to think Giannis may be an above-average power forward. Brian Windhorst with me now from Milwaukee. Windy, this feels like a big game tonight between the Bucks and Celtics. What is at stake for each team?
Yeah, my feel in being here for these games, the winner of this game, Max, might win the series. I almost would say will win the series, but the Bucks haven't ruled Chris Middleton out totally, so there's a possibility he could come back if it stretches to 6 or 7. But this is obviously a real high-stakes game. Milwaukee wins this and goes up 3-1. I don't see a team with Giannis losing 3 in a row. The Celtics win it, take momentum, take home court back. With the uncertainty around Middleton, that would swing it in their direction. So I know technically there's no elimination at stake here tonight, but the teams have to come in feeling like it could be.
Man, if you never played another game, Giannis is a first-ballot Hall of Famer at this point, but there wouldn't be that many more impressive things than beating this Celtics team without Middleton if he goes on to do it. Who on the Celtics needs to step up?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to hold Jason Tatum to a ridiculous standard like Giannis, but I have to. I had Tatum 5th on my MVP ballot this year. I had him on my first-team All-NBA. And a first-team All-NBA player cannot go 4 of 19 in a high-value game like he did on Saturday. And look, you have bad shooting games. That happens. But he was not able to impact the game. And, you know, Wes Matthews is doing a good job on him. He's taking angles away from him at times. He's frustrating him. He's a little bit off in his decision-making. But Tatum is a difference-making player with tremendous size, and this is an absolute grinding half-court series. Both of these teams are crushing each other in the half-court. That's where individual talent has to come through. It did for Giannis. It hasn't for Tatum as much in this series as it needs to be for the Celtics.
Let's bring J.J. Redick back into this. J.J., not to oversimplify, but it did look to me like Giannis has already been where Tatum is, and he got to this next place where he can will himself to a higher level. And maybe Tatum is learning to do that, or is that all nonsense? Like, does Tatum have to find some kind of extra resolve to bounce back, or is that just nonsense?
I'll give you a stat. There's 3 previous times where Jason Tatum has shot under 30% in 2022. Mm-hmm. In those 3 bounce-back games, he shot 61%.
That good?
So the expectation is there. However, I'll give you a few other stats. His 3 worst shooting games in his playoff career have all been against the Milwaukee Bucks. There's something about their defense with Brook Lopez or Giannis in that big drop. You saw it a number of times there in the highlights or lowlights for him where they're baiting him into that pull-up jump shot and they're getting a great rear view contest. When he's being guarded by Drew Holiday this series, he's shooting 30%. He was 0 of 10 against Wes Matthews. They have the individual defenders to make it tough on him. Plus, with the way they're sort of baiting him into that pull-up and getting those rear-view contests, it's going to be hard for him.
Well, when Giannis went up against Toronto, he never did find an answer when they walled off against him, right? Do you expect Tatum to bounce back?
I do expect him to bounce back. And on Giannis, I just want to say one thing. I was really impressed when they asked him after Game 3 about the failures or the struggles in Game 1 and 2. You know, he had this great perspective about embracing failure and allowing that to be a vehicle to learn and get better. That is such a winning, refreshing mindset to have.
So, Windy, I totally agree with what adjustments are the Celtics going to make to get Tatum some better looks, given what JJ just said?
I wouldn't be surprised to see them try to get him some better matchups, taking advantage of the way the screens go. I mean, Mike Budenholzer, I asked him about Wes Matthews, and he has a lot of trust in him. For a guy that basically didn't play for the Lakers last year, didn't have many offers this year, came to the Bucks on a minimum contract, there's a working relationship there. And so he sort of lets Wes determine how to guard the screens at times. He gives him freedom to sort of feel it out. But the Celtics, I would not be surprised if they have a package of plays to get Tatum in better matchups, get him in spots on the floor, get him, maybe see if they're going to switch and try to get Matthews off of him. But one of the things that the Bucks are able to do right now that they weren't able to do in the regular season is trust their back line. Because Brook Lopez coming in here and defending the front of the rim is a game changer. They had a bad break with Middleton going down with that freak injury where he slipped and hurt his knee early in the playoffs. But the break that they've gotten is that Brook Lopez had back surgery. And similar to the surgery that we've seen knock guys out for a year. And he came back in this season. And not only that, came back and has been a huge factor on the defensive end.
Yeah, if you can defend the rim and bomb from 3 and you're 7 feet tall, you got a job in the NBA. JJ, is tonight must win for the Celtics the way Windy describes?
Absolutely. And Windy said it, and I rarely agree with Stephen A., but he said this morning on First Take as well. The same thing Windy just said. You're not beating Giannis 3 straight times. You're not. So this is a must-win for the Celtics.
Yes, when everybody, Stephen A. and Windy and you and me also agree, then it must be right. Windy, it's now a 3-game series between the Mavs and the Suns somehow. Good on you, Luka Doncic. Didn't look that way, until very recently. What's at stake for Phoenix now, and especially Chris Paul?
Well, they are an extremely confident and poised and experienced team. They have won a lot together. So my feel from being around the Suns a lot is that there will be no panic in them. But I will just say that when it becomes a 3-game series and the other team has the best player, that is a worrisome situation. They are in orange territory here. That is not red flag yet, but it is orange flag. And so they have just got to play smarter. It is very rare for the Suns to be outsmarted by a team. They were outsmarted while they were in Dallas, and they also didn't shoot the ball that great. They need to, any team that doesn't shoot the ball that great is going to struggle in the modern NBA. But they're faced with a choice. Luka scored over 30 points in the first 2 games, and Dallas wasn't really able to get going. It was just the Luka show. The last 2 games, Luka has been a distributor. He's obviously scored a lot of points. He was 9 of 25. Luka shoots 9 of 25, and you win against the Suns. They're going to have to pick a strategy and go with it and be more focused in it starting in Game 5 with how to handle him.
Yeah, when Dorian Finney-Smith is getting those open looks, then Luka is really doing his job. Look, Dallas has the best player in the series, right? By a little bit. But the Suns have the 2nd best and 3rd best player in the series, and arguably the 4th best player in the series, right?
Probably the 4th and 5th
Maybe
best.
also the 5th best player in the series.
No. Mikal Bridges, DeAndre Ayton are the next 2 best players in this series. After Chris and Book. Yeah.
So, Brunson had some big
And I love Jalen.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. So, again, to reduce it to like the narrative of the, older player who's never won a championship, but he hasn't. Chris Paul was in foul trouble all game and fouled out. He has to have a big Game 5, right?
It's the most uncharacteristic weekend I've ever seen from Chris Paul. The 7 first-half turnovers in Game 3, the foul trouble. The play that stands out to me was the 5th foul when he ran in front of Brunson and got the offensive foul. That's a move that CP has done a ton in his career, but he knows they changed the rule. He knows that's an offensive.
He's just gotten back into the game.
Yeah, he knows that's an offensive foul on the player. So it's very uncharacteristic. I expect, of course, a big bounce-back game for him in Game 5. I still think the Suns are the better team. To Windy's point, I think back about 2011, we had beat the Atlanta Hawks. When I was in Orlando, we'd beat the Atlanta Hawks by 25, swept them in 2010. We played them in 2011 in the first round, and they just let Dwight have his way. They didn't tag on the roll. They kept picking rolls to 2-on-2. They didn't double in the post. We were really ineffective from the 3-point line. So the strategy to me, obviously different players, Luka and Dwight, but the strategy to me is you put Mikal Bridges on him, you put Jay Crowder on him, you make him work, and if he drops 45 and no one else goes off, you probably have a pretty good chance to win, as evidenced by Game 1 and 2.
And you mentioned Jay Crowder, and you could talk Cam Johnson. They kept a lot of guys on that team.
It's interesting, yesterday in Game 4, they ended up playing what looked like a matchup zone for a lot of the game, and some of that probably was because CP was in foul trouble. But there were so many times where Luka would just find wherever CP was in that zone or wherever Cam Payne was in that zone and just use his size to either score or pick them apart. So to me, you stay man, you put your guy on him, you don't switch, You show if he tries to pigeon hunt, and you make it tough on him. Let the rest of the guys, you got to guard them.
Yes or no, this upcoming Game 5, there's more pressure on CP3 than anyone in these playoffs.
I don't think it's just Game 5. I think there's pressure on CP in this series, and that pressure comes internally. CP wants to be known as a champion. That's important to him. His career won't be validated by a champion, but it's that important to him.
Thank you, JJ. Thank you, Windy. Coming up, we go live to the Bay Area for a report on the Warriors. Can they take advantage of Ja's injury and get one step closer to the conference finals?